my fellow oddities, and welcome to the Mortal Kombat 1 Khaos Reigns review. Yeah, it's finally here. New story expansion. Sorry if you can hear lawn mowing in the background. This story expansion, 3 new characters. We got Cyrax, we got Noob Saibot, and we got Sektor. Yeah, you can get this shirt at my Redbubble store. Link is in the description below. You can get a bunch of other merch as well. I know, it's super cool. You can probably already tell that this is a kind of a chaotic video, you know? Chaotic. Chaos. Haha. But no, this isn't really scripted at all. I have a few bullet points, but that's kind of it. And it's not going to be edited very much, if at all. Like, I don't know. We'll see if I can get my thoughts across quick enough for it not to have to be edited. If that's anything to go by, then it probably will have to be edited a lot. So the reason that I'm not really scripting this video at all, I'm just kind of blabbling on, is because I don't really think Khaos Reigns warrants like this whole review with a script with different sections and stuff, the way I did my Mortal Kombat 1 base story review. Because I guess we'll just get straight into the review. This game just doesn't have much to it. This new story expansion, it's really disappointing. I don't know. I don't want to call it. I don't know. Okay. Objectively, as a story, I think this is the worst thing that NRS has ever put out. But in terms of like character assassinations and stuff like that, I don't think it's that bad. But in terms of just pure objective, not objective obviously, but like just in terms of story, like taking away all the beloved Mortal Kombat characters, how they've been done before, yada yada yada, just as a story and how these characters are treated from A to B, this is the worst thing NRS has put out. Worse than MK11, MKX, MK9, the base story of MK1, even Aftermath, MKX comics, whatever. This is the worst story that NRS has ever put out. There's no, you know how stories are supposed to be like wavy, right? Like there's high points, there's low points, stuff like that. It's just a straight line. Like, okay, the pacing in this is weird because it feels fast. It feels really, really quick. Like, this story feels short, but at the same time, it feels so stagnant as well. Like, I don't even know how you do that. I've never seen that kind of dynamic in a movie, TV show, any kind of story before. Like, it just, like, nothing happens for so long, or it feels like nothing happens for so long, because nothing really has any sort of impact. And then it just ends suddenly, quickly, and then you're like, wow, that felt short. But at the same time, I feel like I just wasted a lot of time. It's so weird. You can only really get it if you've played it before, which, by the way, spoilers are going to be throughout this video, so, you know, I'm not going to do a spoiler-free section or anything. Just, if you haven't played the story yet, you should probably play it first, and then come watch this. Yeah. In the meantime, you should watch one of my other videos. But, yeah. It's so weird. Okay, basically what happens is Havoc appears. Okay, well, there's this story beginning section where, you know, you have Cyrax, you have Sektor, and they're invading the wedding of Scorpion and Harumi, which was super weird, by the way. Kuai Liang Harumi, just no, not allowed. But they invade the wedding. Cyrax turns good because that's what Cyrax always does. And yeah, it's a cool little section. It's probably the best part of the game. And then Havoc appears, and when Havoc appears, that's when the game gets bad. Because then he takes Garrus, which is kind of like the main plot device is Garrus. That's kind of what they're striving for to try and get. And then they basically send a bunch of characters to go get Garrus, and then it feels like nothing happens. Like, they just do stuff. The characters just do stuff. It doesn't feel like they're getting any closer to their goals. It just feels like they're going through random like trials or whatever, mainly just like to get fights in. It feels like filler. The whole thing feels like filler because like they do all this stuff, they find Garrus, and then pretty much the final battle happens right after that, because once they find Garrus, I think, they run into Noob Saibot before they fight Garrus, I think. And Noob Saibot is the final chapter. So they run into Noob Saibot, they defeat him, they get Garrus, and then they bring Noob back to Earthrealm, and then the final chapter happens and the game just ends. So I don't even know how you make a story where the whole thing feels like filler. I don't even know how you do that. Like there's sort of a beginning, sort of an end, like even less so of an end. Like it literally just feels like it gets cut off, and then you just like, oh, okay. But there's no middle. There's no middle story. It just things happen, and then the game ends. It's such a weird pace. It's, I don't know. I feel like this could have worked if they did just give some things more of an impact. If it felt like the things we were doing mattered, because it doesn't. Havoc just explains what he's going to do, and we just have to kind of take his word for it. We don't see anything happen within Earthrealm that suggests, oh, people are in danger. The characters don't really react to what's happening. They're just like, oh, look at this person from another timeline. We're going to go deal with him now, and then they just do it. Most of the characters don't have any sort of personality. The most impactful moment is between two characters that don't matter to the main timeline that we're watching. And that's Empress Tanya and Emperor Reign. Basically, there's a scene where Emperor Reign dies, and that's the most impactful scene of the entire game because it actually has emotion to it. And, you know, the voice acting is really good. The visuals are really good in that scene pretty much only. And then Reign dies, and Empress Tanya is kind of sad about it. And then she kind of just disappears from the story, and you know, it doesn't matter anymore because they're not a part of our universe. So it feels just kind of pointless. Everything in this just feels pointless. And it's just like, wow, this did not need to exist. Once you complete the game, you're just like, wow, this did not need to happen. We did not need this kind of story expansion. It could have just been a combat pack and everyone would have been happy. And like, from the end of the Mortal Kombat 1 base game and to the end of Khaos Reigns, nothing changes to impact the overall story going forward. Like, we're pretty much in the exact same position we were at the beginning of Khaos Reigns compared to the end. It's crazy. The only change there really is Bihan now being Noob Saibot, but Noob Saibot in this game is basically just Bihan. And I'm going to talk about the characters later. That's probably when I'm going to dwell a bit more into that. But yeah. What else is there to talk about? Yeah, everything just, nothing matters. Nothing matters. None of the characters act like anything matters, and there's no lasting impact made by Khaos Reigns. Like, you don't need to play the story to play the next Mortal Kombat game. Unlike Aftermath, which was required viewing if you want to know what the hell is going on in Mortal Kombat 1. Pretty much. At least for most of the second half of the game. And then, yeah, I think we should just jump into characters now. There's no character development at all. Like, pretty much. Like, there's no arcs for the characters. They just change. They just change suddenly. It's not like this. It's just like, okay, we're at point A, now we're at point B, just suddenly. And the best example I can give of that is Kuai Liang. I actually really, really like where he was at the start of the game. There's this moment with Cyrax where, like, she's worked for the Lin Kuei and they've just ruined his wedding. They've just killed a bunch of people. And he blames her, even though she had no idea that the Lin Kuei was evil, what they were doing was bad. He still blames her, and he's about to kill her. Like, she's completely surrendered. She's completely defeated, whatever. And he's about to kill her, just right then and there, while she's defenseless because she's accepting that she's about to die. And it's a weird scene. It's a kind of uncomfortable scene for people who know the character of Kuai Liang, because that's just like, oh, that's not something he would do. But when I thought about it since then, I really, really like that, because as you guys probably know if you've seen the video, I said that Kuai Liang should have more of that inner conflict within him and more of a darkness within him in my one change I'd make to every Mortal Kombat character video. And that's a great way to do it. This character is a character that has had this ideology of death and pain being the answer since he's been born. And it's been so weird to me that he's a goody two-shoes in most media, where he's just like, I'm going to save everyone. I'm going to spare people's lives. I'm going to save the world. I'm going to be a super good guy and all that stuff. When that's a real dark part of his character that they just don't really explore. And I like that they finally did that. But then, later on in the game, and him and Cyrax, after he doesn't kill her because Harumi, his wife, tells him not to, and, you know, him and Cyrax have kind of been beefing throughout the entire game. Randomly, at the end, he just goes, you know what, Cyrax, I actually like you. And it's just like, nothing has happened for her to change her mind, really. At least we haven't really seen the impact of the things that she's done that would make him change her mind. And it's just like, where did this come from? Now you're all goody-goody with her and you're gonna invite her to the Shiryu? Like, it was so weird. And it kind of just shows my point of, like, these characters don't go on arcs. There's not gradual change. They just change. They're just different now. They have a different personality. It's terrible. Most of the other characters, you can't even say they changed. It's just like, I don't know, Sektor, just whatever, kind of throughout the entire game, kind of just like standard Sektor stuff. Oh, I'm loyal to the Lin Kuei and all that. And, you know, there's the stuff with Bihan and Sektor, which I'm going to get into that in its own separate video. I am planning to make a video on Noob Saibot probably next week, how Mortal Kombat 1 ruined Noob Saibot. So I'm not going to talk about him too much or that relationship too much. But yeah, Cyrax, like I said, pretty much the same that she's always been. It's weird to get used to calling them she and stuff because they're gender swapped now, which didn't really matter in the story at all. It was kind of like, okay, whatever. I got used to it pretty quick. And then there's Bihan. And like I said, Bihan doesn't change in this game. He's the same character the whole way through. He goes from Bihan at the beginning. We don't see him again until the very end, where he's Noob Saibot, where his mind is corrupted and he's working for Havoc. And then they restore his mind because you can just do that somehow. And now he's back to just being Bihan again. And so we're at the same point at the beginning as we are at the end. Awesome. Awesome. Love that. Love that. And there's a bunch of other problems with this character. I hate how... Okay, I don't want to get into this too much because I am planning to make a video on it, but I just want to say that I hate how they just restore him. Like, it's just like, okay, he is Bihan, his mind gets corrupted, he's basically being mind controlled, and we can just change him just like that. It's not really like that with Noob Saibot. The corruption is different. It's more of like a corruption you'd see in real life, where, I don't know, someone's, like, this idea gets planted into someone's brain, and it's sort of like a virus. It infects their brain. And so you can take the source out of it, but that virus is still going to be there, if that makes sense. Like, you can take the source of where it came from out of his brain, but that idea is still going to be there in his head. And more so, if anything, it takes away more than... the corruption takes away more than it actually gives Noob. It doesn't, like, really plant new ideas into his head. It more so just kind of, like, takes away his humanity. That's how it works. And so for him to just be restored like that is super, super weird. But yeah, I'm going to talk about that in its own video, so I don't want to elaborate too much. But yeah, moving on from the story. Story, not great at all. Like I said, objectively, probably the worst thing NRS has ever put out. I want to talk about the price. $50 for a, 2-hour and 15-minute story, I think it was. That's insane. I'm sorry. Like, pros who can just, like, blast through every fight, that's probably, like, I don't know, 2 hours, an hour and 50, something like that. I don't know. It gets way shorter, too. So, $50 for that plus 3 characters. I'm going to say 3 characters because if you're going to charge us $50, then give us every character on launch. And if you can't give us every character on launch, then wait. Wait until you can. Like, come on. Like, I want to play as Ghostface. I don't really want to play as T-1000 or Conan, but I'm sure there are people who are. So, don't give us only 3 characters when you promise us 6 and then charge us $50 for all of that stuff. I get that they're releasing eventually, and I'm not saying they just should be free or anything like that. I'm saying if you're gonna charge people $50, you should just give them the product when you say you're going to give it to them, instead of giving them part of the product and then waiting until later to give them the other parts of it. Because I'm sorry, that's just a stupid way to do things. Like, even with Combat Pack 1, it was kind of stupid because you bought the Combat Pack and you had to wait for every character to release individually. And with this, it's even dumber, in my opinion. Because pretty much everything, there's 3 whole characters, there's a whole story mode that comes in one, but all the guest characters, you have to wait for them. For whatever reason. Just wait until they're ready to release the whole thing. Just wait until everything's ready and then just release the whole thing, because that's how it was with Aftermath. Like, I remember Combat Pack 1 and Mortal Kombat 11, every character released individually. But for Aftermath, everything released on the day of the release of the whole story expansion and all that stuff. That's how it should be for this one as well. And if they're going to do another Combat Pack, please just give us all the characters in one. We don't want to keep waiting. All right? We would rather wait longer for the overall package to come out than get part of it and then receive little bits of it as time goes on. Especially when the product itself isn't that great and still feels incomplete. So it's just, it sucks. I have other bullet notes here. Let's see if I can... oh yeah, and there's no modes or anything. There's no other features that are really included. There's animalities, which I'll get to, but I don't know. That's not really a new mode. That's not really a new experience. I know there's kind of like a Towers of Time new thing, but I don't know. I don't think that really counts as a whole new feature or anything like that. I was expecting something like a Test Your Might or any of the Test Yours, anything like that. A new mini game or something. I knew we probably weren't going to get a puzzle combat or a chess combat or a motor combat especially or anything like that. But just something that can give us that kind of rush of just having something new to play with this game. That isn't a story, because no one's replaying the story again. Like, people are going to forget that the story happened, like, a couple days from now. And then, I remember, I was going to say, in my video, in my Mortal Kombat 1, what they should do with Mortal Kombat 1 video, I said that they already have a system in place to randomize and mix up characters in the base story. Why didn't they include Create a Fighter? If you have that system in the game already, somewhat, I don't think it would be that hard to include, yes, maybe a very bare bones, but still something version of a Create a Fighter feature. And I think that would have been a great thing to include as a part of this, because that would have given people something to play with as time went on when it comes to Mortal Kombat 1. Because nobody's playing this game. Nobody is playing this game when story stuff isn't coming out. I'm sorry. Like, this is a problem that has been occurring since the beginning of this game's life cycle. Nobody consistently plays this game. I don't consistently play this game. What was it? Yesterday was the first time I had played this game in ages. Since probably the main story came out and I played that. That is insane. And guess what? I'm probably not going to play the game that much from this point on. So, yeah, NRS, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. It feels like they just hate business. It feels like they hate money. It feels like they hate people playing their game. It's weird. But I do want to end off on some positive notes. Firstly, the new skins that we're getting with Melina. Her deception design looks amazing. That design should be in every Mortal Kombat game. I'm saying it right now. MK9 Smoke looks great. Bruce Lee, Liu Kang looks great. And there are a few other skins. All of them. They look great. I'm glad that we're getting better skins than we got in Mortal Kombat 11 with these, like, revamped skins of characters that, of designs for characters that occurred in games that aren't just the classics, the Deadly Alliances, the Deceptions, stuff like that. I'm glad that we're finally getting those, because you didn't really get any of that stuff besides with Deception Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat 11, so I'm really glad we got that. Animalities are awesome. I love them. The shark one with Johnny Cage, where he turns into the shark from Jaws and eats the opponent, that was super amazing. the crocodile / alligator one. I don't really know the difference, but for Noob, where he recreates Make-A-Wish from MK9, amazing. I love that one. They're super cool, and probably the best thing about this new DLC. And then Noob's gameplay. I loved Noob Saibot's gameplay in this. As soon as I started playing as him in the story, I just felt, oh, this is good. I'm gonna main this character. I'm not gonna probably play this game too much, so I won't get the chance to main him that much. But if I did play this game, I would main Noob because his gameplay is super fun. I've already seen a lot of crazy combos people have been able to do with him on YouTube and stuff, on social media. So I'm really glad that my favorite character, at least if he's not going to be done justice in the story, he's a fun character to play as. So if I ever do want to pick up this game, I can play as my favorite character and imagine that he isn't the version of him that he is. And also, we got the MK9 hood, which is awesome. You know what? Everything is forgiven. We got the MK9 hood. Let's go, guys. No, I'm joking. But yeah, super glad about that. And unfortunately, it sucks to say that Khaos Reigns was a massive disappointment. For me personally, I don't like being seen as a negative person. I've been called a hater in the comments before, and I don't want to be known as that guy. But I don't want to BS you guys. I don't want to be an NRS glazer. I want to give you guys the truth of how I'm feeling. It doesn't matter what anyone else says or what they're going to try and say to dissuade me. I am going to say how I feel about this sort of stuff. And this is how I feel. Like, even if the whole internet wasn't basically saying the same thing as I am, which they are, I would say how I feel. And this is how I feel. I don't want to be labeled a hater for that. I do compliment NRS when they do good things. I will compliment them when they make a good story. And that goes for anything Mortal Kombat. I don't really have biases when it comes to who is making it or whatever. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. That's how I view things. So I don't want people in the comments to be calling me a hater or to be saying that I'm complaining about stuff, because this is just how I feel. All right. But yeah, that's going to do it for the Mortal Kombat 1 Khaos Reigns review. You guys let me know in the comments what you thought of it. Make sure to give this video a like to show your support. Also, subscribe, turn on the notification bell to know when I upload my next video, and check out the links in the description to my Twitter, Instagram, and my merch store to get cool merch like this. It's awesome, I know. And yeah, that's going to do it for this video, my fellow oddities. See you next time.